All right, we're here. Lord willing, we're here. Welcome, everybody. This is the Bunker Nation show. If I'm on here, let me know. Hey, if you guys are out there, let me know. Push on into the comment section wherever you are. We're broadcasting on about 5 or 6 different platforms, so depending on where you are, you can interface differently. But there's a comment section. Get in there right now. Say hello. Greet everybody or greet me, and tell me where you are. And somebody out there, if you're watching, give me a audio video check. Let me know if the audio and video is okay. Everything's working fine. If it is, we'll get going. Hope everybody's doing okay. This is a live show, so we're going to give it a little time to get going. I'm drinking my no sugar root beer. It's gorgeous outside, but it's not sunny. It's about, I don't know. It's supposed to get up to close to 80 today, but I think it's in the 70s right now. Supposed to get some rain later today, maybe some hail. I look a little sleepy. Been up early. All right, future people. June's here. She says loud and clear. If you're out there, wherever you are, type into the comment section. If you're on Facebook, hammer the like and the heart symbol. Just hammer them. That'll get some more people in here, hopefully. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So far, only about 45% of you are subscribed to the channel, and we really need you to subscribe. All right, War Dog Heim is here. He says the video and sound are good. Let's go ahead and do this box thing, then we'll get going. All right, looks like Ethan's here. He has not yet learned that in Texas you don't call people dude. Dude is a bad thing to call a Texas. A real Texan. Most Texans don't mind. But, all right, so good. Hit the like button. Make sure you come in here and tell me where you are. Participate. Smash. If you're on Facebook, smash it. Just keep hitting that the like, thumbs up thing and then the heart thing. I don't know how it all works. It's supposed to make more people get to see it and whatnot. All right, David, Indiana's here. Good to see you. I hope everybody's doing fine. I hope everybody's making it. Oh, you were calling yourself dude. All right, well, that's fine. You can call you. And Alaska is probably not even that bad a deal. So hope everybody's doing all right. 1 year ago today, sometime around today, people started buying toilet paper. And predictably, people online made fun of people buying toilet paper. It turned into the toilet paper thing turned into a big deal. So we, all right, Mike's here, loud and clear, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Good to see you. Yeah, don't ever call anybody from Texas who's actually a Texan, and I mean a real Texan. Don't call them dude. Just it's an insult. All right, so about a year ago, like I said, people started buying toilet paper. It turned into a thing. People got upset. People started calling people names, calling people hoarders. And so I got on here, and I tried to straighten people out, tried to tell them how they were being manipulated, especially using the vernacular or using the lexicon of Bolsheviks, like calling people hoarders and making fun of people who were going out to buy toilet paper, even though it might have been in their best interest. Who knows? How do we know? And so we've been a year. It's been a year since then. And I figured what we do is we kind of recap and we figure out what we've learned, if we've learned anything, what the masked man is doing, and all of that sort of thing. First of all, you should know that this concept of toilet paper being a symbol of the greed and hoarding and all this kind of stuff, that's been planted in the American psyche for a long time. And it's part of the fragmentation of the mind, how the mind gets fragmented. And so people, if you want to understand them, you have to be able to understand how fragmented they are. They don't have or the capacity to think in wholes. They only have the capacity to think in parts. And so if you can only think in parts, you look at it as stuff comes from the store. You don't make it. You don't produce it. You think you need it. And if it comes from the store, then there's a finite amount of it. There's a finite amount in the supply chain at any time. Everybody should share. Everybody should be kind. And so there's a training that's been going on your entire life that has caused you to think the things that you think. And so we started out with these presuppositions that are all not true. Number one, that there is a finite amount of the material, and when in fact that's not exactly true, because there are a lot of different materials that can be used for the same purpose. Second of all, that everybody has a right to it. That's a socialist concept. That to have more than someone else thinks you need is hoarding. That's another Bolshevik idea. The word hoarding was actually one that was capitalized on by Lenin during the foundation of the Soviet Union to otherize people who took care of their needs or their neighbor or whatever reason. The word hoarding basically has in it the presupposition that everybody has a right to the life, liberty, property, productive capability of other people, and the government of all things has a lien on your productive capability and ought to be able to tell you what you can own, what you can't own, and all that. There's also a presupposition that an individual using resources that are his own to exchange in fair trade with a merchant or someone else who accepts that terms of sale is somehow other people's business, that other people have a right or can even know what the purpose is behind it. All right. And so all of those things have been ingrained. And so what happened a year ago was that the crypto socialists among us, people who have been trained to be socialists, who don't think they are, a lot of them are Republicans and consider themselves conservatives, showed themselves. They immediately showed themselves. Rather than defend the right of individuals to go out and use their resources and exchange them for other resources in a fair way that is agreeable to both parties that are involved, and you're not one of the parties involved, they automatically defaulted to the idea that we live in some type of socialist utopia, and that other people ought to be able to limit or intervene in that transaction. Like I said, there's also the presupposition that these things are needful to begin with. Now, a lot of this started way, way back. The idea of musical chairs. How many of you played musical chairs when you were growing up? Musical chairs was a training propaganda mechanism that was used to instill in youth the idea of artificial scarcity and competition for limited resources. It actually started, and there are some disagreements about how it got started, but the game was actually originally called something like, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, like Jerusalem, Adventure in Jerusalem or something like that. Adventure, Journey to Jerusalem. And it was based on the Crusades, where the Crusaders at some point had a limited number of, I don't know, swords or weapons or, the stuff you wear in war. And so only a few people were able to get it to maximize their probability of living. And they lost some battles. And so this game was basically used to represent this scarcity. In Germany, the socialists took the game, which was called like Adventure to Jerusalem, and they used it to teach children that under the what they considered to be a capitalist or aristocratic system, that there was always going to be a competition for finite resources, and that capitalism was basically pushing somebody else off a chair because there's a limited number of them. None of these things are true. They're not true. First of all, you don't need most of the stuff to begin with. It's artificial need. Need was created by fragmenting the mind so that people no longer were capable of thinking in wholes. And so they didn't produce anything. They didn't live off the land. They didn't have to create resources from natural materials that were reproducible, that came up naturally. And so they started to think of things as things you had to buy. They were at the store. The store was a box with a certain number of them. And so you're competing with other people for those things, and you have to have them. And if you don't have them, somebody else is getting them And so pushing somebody off a chair was merely a way of teaching. And it made you unhappy. Nobody, if you played musical chairs, nobody was happy but the one bully who was capable at the end of knocking everybody else off a chair and winning. But in reality, you could sit on the floor. You could not sit down. Nothing happened to you. You didn't die. I mean, unless they had a special game in Germany where you did die. But the idea of the terror that was instilled in children from the very beginning, that there's somehow, and then you get into school and teachers falsely teach you that there's this competition for limited resources, that the pie is finite, that the pie can't be grown just by becoming productive and producing things. And so you get to college and you have some economics professor like I had, and you probably did too, who taught you that you either had to buy butter or guns. You couldn't have both, and nobody made butter anymore. Butter was something, most people don't even know what butter comes from. And so there was a finite amount of it, and everybody's competing for it, and oh my gosh, we got to divvy it up fairly. The socialists in your stratosphere, in your atmosphere, in your area of operations, also believe that if there's a billionaire, that money is somehow being taken from somebody else, that somehow people are not having things because somebody else has a lot of it. And so this is how this multiplies. So when you call somebody a hoarder, this is what the Bolsheviks were really, really good at. Taking words, changing the definition of the words, and using those to create enemies. And the enemies were those people out there who were not fair. Calling them a hoarder was a way of saying that they had more than they need, even though their need cannot be known by you. All right, let me look through the comments here. I'll get back to that in just a minute. Artificial scarcity becomes a limited supply with the force of government behind it. We have more shortages today than we had a year ago. Inflated prices because of manufactured artificial scarcity added the influx of stimulus money, and we're right. Oh, exactly. All that stuff is absolutely true. And so this is the point, is that when people come to believe, first of all, that they need something that they don't need because they haven't been taught any better, they don't know any better, and then they are drilled with the idea that there are bad people out there. Those bad people out there are people who have a lot of stuff. And those people are the ones that are keeping you from. You would have stuff if the people who had stuff would share their stuff with you. And so they drill this stuff into you. They're allowed on social media. And so they're sitting there all day long telling you somehow that Elon Musk having billions of dollars kept me from having a sugar-free root beer or something like that, something that I've decided is needful. And so what it does is it enthrones the idea of covetousness and greed as the principal pillars of society. Covetousness and greed, meaning you want somebody else's stuff, and so the government should be put in force to make sure that you get your share of somebody else's things. As a Christian person, these two things were anathematized. The idea that somehow I was not being treated fairly if somebody else had something was anathematized in Christianity. And so we end up with a system where people who consider themselves Republicans, people who consider themselves conservatives, and you know that I think all of these terms are manipulations, were on there a year ago. It started off as a bunch of jokes, but the people who were making the jokes were basically people who had been colonized. Their minds had been colonized to believe that somehow somebody else going out and buying toilet paper was a danger to the society. It was a danger. It was harmful. It was going to cause problems. And so as a way of kind of whistling through the graveyard and somehow releasing some of the tension that they themselves felt, they made jokes about it. And there were memes about it. And then you saw people that were actually coming on there saying, well, I'm not for blah, 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 but this was hoarding. Hoarding is bad. Hoarding is not, it shouldn't be allowed. And so they basically just adopted the lexicon of the Bolsheviks, and they started looking at their neighbor with covetousness or with anger or with something else and saying, well, these people shouldn't be allowed to do that. Now, you all know that I don't need toilet paper. I didn't go out and buy toilet paper. I didn't go out and buy propane during the Texas ice-pocalypse. And the reason why is because I don't need it. The best thing to do is to not need something. If you don't need it, just like with musical chairs, you can sit down on the ground, or you could walk away, or you could just stand there and watch fools fight over resources that aren't scarce, that they are not actually needful of. And so not needing it is the number one thing. And the next thing is realizing that people ought to be free to exchange goods and services with a merchant or somebody else if they want to. The merchant has the right to not sell it. The merchant had the right to divvy it up as he sees fit based on the number of people that were willing to buy. The merchant, if anybody made a mistake, it was the merchant, but the merchant was free to do it because it was his property. Now we are a year down the road, and what have we learned? What we should have learned is to mark those who are among us who have these mental incapacities, who cause them, because of their covetousness and greed, to embrace Bolshevik ideas because they are dangerous. Now, there are two kinds of people that you ought to be able to note. Those who just don't know any better, who perhaps you could teach, perhaps you could give them a link to the show, or you could get them on the Bunker Nation bandwagon, and they could learn something, and they could learn not how to have as their principal pillars covetousness and murder and greed, because that's where socialism inevitably leads. Or you can find out they're a person that is not capable of learning these lessons, or not capable, nor do they want to. And these people are dangerous. They are dangerous to have in your area of operations. They are dangerous to have if things go bad. These are the people who became useful idiots during the time of the Russian Revolution and other such revolutions in Cambodia, and turned over their neighbors, participated in mass murder and genocide, and they are among us. And you can watch them on YouTube telling jokes about, they start off telling jokes about toilet paper, and a couple of months later, they're turning you in because you didn't have a mask on, or they're yelling at you at the Goodwill because you weren't doing something that the government said was going to be good for everybody, even though the science didn't support it. And so here we are, a year later, and my question is, did we learn anything? Has the masked man learned anything? Have we learned to be prepared? Have we learned to provide for ourselves and our family and our community and whoever else we want and need to prepare for, so that we don't find ourselves in these situations? Have we gotten better? Is anybody out there within the sound of my voice in a better position now to withstand an interruption, whether it be long or short term, than they were a year ago? Have you been able to identify people within your area of operations who are dangerous to you and your family, or dangerous to your country? Have you been able to identify them so you can either avoid them or take whatever steps are necessary in the proper situations to make sure that you don't put your family and your loved ones at risk? That's the question. Have we learned the things that we should have learned? Let me roll up here and see what we got. Diane's here. Good afternoon. Good to see. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here a little early, and we're going to talk about some other things, but this was my main thought as I was taking my walk this morning. Did anybody learn anything? Or are we still a bunch of toilet paper jokesters? Are we still a bunch of people who sit around and make fun of other people who are doing what they can based on what they know to provide for themselves and their family? All right, Ivan Dimitrov is here. Good to see you. If you're out there, leave me a comment. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and all that sort of thing. I hope everybody's doing okay. I have been curious, and maybe, spend some time. Get into the comments section and let me know. Are you better off than you were a year ago? Are you more prepared than you were a year ago? Are you more willing? Are you a better thinker than you were a year ago? Are you able to analyze your surroundings to measure your own preparedness quotient and do those things that are necessary to help yourself? Are you better off than you were a year ago? I'm asking you. I don't see anybody commenting. I think people resist the socialist revolution in our lifetime? I think there will be pockets in places. I think there will be. Certainly, there's a certain amount of resistance that's building. I don't know how that will take place, and I'm not encouraging anything in any direction other than that individuals take responsibility for yourselves, for your loved ones, for your family, and those for whom you might be responsible. But I do think there will be some resistance, and I think that if anything, we know that socialists overplay their hand, and that we're seeing that taking place right now. All right. I'm trying to scroll up here to see what I'm missing. The masked man is an idiot. I don't take advice from idiots. That's right. All right. So if you're out there, let me know if you've learned anything, if you've advanced in any measure at all, even in your mental capacity, your ability to think about these things, to see things, and to identify those things that are what they are rather than what you've been taught your whole life that they are. How many of you knew that when you were a child and you were forced to play a game called musical chairs, that you were being trained, whether ignorantly or on purpose, with false presuppositions? You are being taught to think falsely and to compete when there ought not to be any necessary reason to compete over resources that are either not needful or not finite, not scarce. All right, I'm not seeing any feedback. I don't know if I'm just not seeing it, if we're having a problem with the internet or whatever. But I'll go on and talk about something else until hopefully something pops up. Wardogheim says, I am mildly better prepared than a year ago. The plan for this growing season is to extend the orchard and see what else I can get growing. Good idea. Ethan Hunt says, more physically fit than a year ago. That's a great thing. Yvonne says, in Bulgaria and Eastern Europe, there is resistance building up for sure. I'm hopeful of that, and I'd love to see that. I think of all the places that I would love to see, and people that know what socialism and its adherents will do and do. Have you marked those among you who may be cheerful, friendly, and all that kind of stuff, but who are crypto socialists and who are dangerous to be around if something goes bad? Have you learned how to think better? I'm not asking you particularly if you went out and got some storage food or if you learned something or you got some tools. Hopefully you did. But if you didn't, have you learned to think better than you did a year ago? Have you watched over the last year while the bullshit spread and people... I saw a great post. I don't know if any of you follow Zuby on Twitter. He's a British rapper, I think. Really, really strong thinker. Usually posts some really good stuff. He made a post that was absolutely true. He said if the government came out tomorrow and said that blue paper masks don't work, but yellow paper masks made of the same material and the same format actually do work. So it's not so much the mask or its formation or anything, it is the color of it. Yellow masks work, blue masks don't work. That tomorrow there would be a large percentage of the people, a huge percentage of the people, trying and enforce the yellow mask mandate and trying to otherize and accuse and cancel people who just go, what? What? And I think that's absolutely true, and it makes the point. It makes the point that you have to learn how to think. You have to learn how to think in wholes and not in parts and not in the little ghettos you've been taught to think in. And that's what we try to do here on the show, Bunker Nation, where we think and thrive. All right, so just for those of you who know, I haven't done that many shows lately, been a little bit limited. We are better. We have a better camera. I've got you might be able to hear the pleasant hum of the generator in the background, and that's because we haven't had any sun, and when we have had sun, it's been tremendously windy. But we are, I have to pay bills here. I have to pay bills for this show. I have to pay bills for the StreamYard that broadcasts this on 5 or 6 different platforms and all that kind of stuff. And we're way, way, way behind. I think I posted the other day that we're like $32 brought in for the month. I appreciate those of you who are partners with the show and who have partnered to help us keep the show going. If you haven't done so, let's see if I can find it here. There's a website you can go to. Type it in. It's right up there, michaelbunker.com. You can just go up on the page to right about here and click on partner subscriptions. Subscribe. Give a monthly amount or something, or you can do a one-time gift. If you want to, if you're feeling generous and you want to help the show, You can also do, like I said, a one-time gift, a couple of other different ways if you want to. You can do it through Facebook Messenger, no fees either way. That's always good. Right here on YouTube. Right now, if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down there in the little comment section here on the side, and right there, by where you type in words, there's a little $sign. War Dog just did it. That's called a super chat. Thank you, sir. Hopefully some other people will take the hint and realize that we're way behind. We got, and people are getting stimulated out there. I know that the socialists are trying to convince you that if you get your stimulus check, you're really a socialist, even though you're only getting your own money back and not even all of it. But if you got your stimulations, send a little stimulations our way so we can help the Bunker Nation grow this thing and do more shows in a broader format. So thank you to Warhogheim. So if you're not familiar with Super Chats, on YouTube, in the comment section, right there's a little $sign. Click on that, follow through, and it's kind of cool. And it also allows your comment to be highlighted and stays up longer. Easier for me to notice so that I comment on it. And that sort of thing. So there's a couple of different ways you can help out. Hopefully you will, because if not, I don't know. There's got to be this thing's got to break even, is what I'm saying. It's got to break even. So I hope everybody's listening. I hope everybody's doing well. If you have questions or comments, right now is the time to get them in. I got my little rant off early. I can still talk more about that, or we can talk about something else. I'm trying to think of what else I had to talk about. Things are going well here. Mrs. Bunker is working this weekend. I'm going to go pick her up. Oh, so I'm going to do the Bunkathon we talked about on the last show, which is going to be a long form of this show, but I'm going to be on here for however long it takes. I'm going to do, 3, 5, 6, 8 hours nonstop. You don't have to be here for the whole thing unless you just want to, but I'm going to break it down into chapters. And pardon me, root beer. I'm going to cover the things that I've promised to cover that I haven't done yet. So we're going to talk about constitutional monarchy. We're going to talk about free will. We're going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to break those things like into chapters so that down in the description after the show, I could put the time markers. When we start talking about that topic, we can actually break that show into different videos and people can watch what they want to watch. And whether you watch it or not, I hope you will. I hope you'll participate. This is going to be like the Jerry Lewis telethon, because I'm going to break into it with some coffee stories and stuff like that. And then if you want to, you can participate by coming on the show. You can actually come on here. I can pop you up here and we can talk, or you can ask questions, or you can participate. It's going to be a good thing. It's going to be kind of cool. So I'm trying to get that set up. What I have to do to get that set up is I have my webmaster redoing the michaelbunker.com page. There's a bunch of stuff we're trying to integrate that's going to allow us to do this. One of the things is we're going to start taking, for donations and for purchases, even for coffee, we're going to start taking cryptocurrency, which I think is about time. We need to do that. And so that's coming hopefully anytime. He's working on it right now. He's got to integrate all that so we can actually take cryptocurrency. And we're going to be able to have it to where you can buy coffee, you can donate, you can participate, you can come here on the show with me if you want to. I can give you a link, bring you on. Yes, we're going to finish the Gentleman in Moscow book club. I'm going to try to do part 3. Book 3 is really long. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I've been really, really busy, but I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. So Wardogheim also got his coffee. Good to know. Hey, by the way, if you want some michaelbunker.com Bunker Nation coffee, which, by the way, is getting like 100% glowing reviews. People who just said, I wanted to just buy it just to help you out, wanted to know what all the shtick was about, whether it was a good thing. Bought the coffee. They're like hooked. They think it's the best coffee they've ever had. It's almost 100% across the board. All the comments have been really, really good. I've had some great comments. I'll bring some on here at some point. So all that. What do I think about smoking health-wise? Well, let me clarify what you mean by smoking. There are different products people smoke, and then there are different ways that people smoke. I'll say across the board, inarguably, smoking cigarettes is stupid, and it's bad for you. And I understand why people do it. I don't do it myself, and it's bad for you for a lot of different reasons. I know that you have been trained that all tobacco is bad for you, and this is not true, but the way that you smoke cigarettes, the way that they're manufactured, the fact that they're ground into a finer material, they burn at a hotter temperature, they're sprayed with cancerous chemicals that burn at a very hot temperature, that you inhale it into your lungs and breathe it out your nose and all the stuff people do. It is very bad for you. It will kill you in time, and people should not do it. As far as smoking things like cigars and pipes, I'm not going to say they're good for you, but I'm saying that all of the things that cause them to put warning symbols on packages are not true of those means of smoking. They don't burn as hot. You're not grinding them into really, really small pieces, so they don't burn as hot. They're not sprayed with chemicals that are cancerous, that cause them to keep burning, etc. I'm not telling you they're safe. I'm just saying it's a completely different thing. And anybody who tells you that they're not is anti-science. All right, DJ Yannix is here. Good to see everybody. And that's on Twitch. I'm Real Michael Bunker on. Let me see if I can find it here. On Instagram, this is me, Michael Bunker. Follow me there. My new latest book, God in the Storm, is available. Go to godinthestorm.com. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, especially if you're on YouTube. I think we're at 2,098 subscriptions. Moving very, very slowly. I had hoped to be farther along, but I haven't been able to do all the shows that I want to do. So it's my fault as much as anything else. Pardon me. All right. So all of those things are necessary. Here's the other thing. I think crack cocaine is probably a bad idea. I'm going to go ahead and say, go out on a limb and say probably a bad idea. Probably don't do that. And probably don't smoke things that are not, that are made with like kerosene and things like that. Things that are just chemicals. Probably not a good idea to smoke those things. All right. So if you got questions and comments, put them in. Be glad to sit here and talk to you for a little while. If not, that's fine. It seems like maybe 2 o'clock is a difficult time for people to get in here and talk. What else? All right. So I covered the bases, I think, as far as how to get in touch with me, how to help the show, all that kind of stuff. So I think we're going to try to do the Bunkathon sometime next week if I can get the website up and running. All of that costs money, and so we are so far behind I can't even begin to tell you. This has been a really, 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 really slow month. Hopefully everybody's going to get stimulated. If you're going to get stimulated, you can send some here. Yeah, it's 20:35 in the UK. That's late in the evening, so that's probably a better time. Probably why I'm getting a different crowd of people than normally. All right. If you have a question or a comment, I don't care where you are, what platform you are. So we're on 3 Facebook channels. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch, and we're on Periscope. Wherever you are, you're probably only going to see the questions from your platform. You're probably not going to see all the questions, but I try to read them all, or I pop them up on the screen if I can. If you're out there, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe. I'm waiting. This is when the show gets kind of boring, when I'm sitting around waiting for questions. But yes, we're going to do a Gentleman in Moscow. Hopefully do that tomorrow. Let's plan on doing that tomorrow afternoon sometime. I'll let you know what time we can do that. Even if you aren't able to watch that one live, you can be a future person and you can watch it and you can get a lot out of the book. The third book, the third part is really, really long. It's one of the longest parts in the book. So that's what's taking a little time. All right, everybody, I appreciate you being here. God bless you. I'm sorry that it's a short show, but that's just the way it is. Lord willing, we'll be back here tomorrow sometime in the afternoon. Tune in. Make sure you follow me at michaelbunker.com. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/offgrid. You can follow me on Instagram at Michael Bunker. You can follow me on Twitter at mbunker. And right here on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. Share the video. The whole first part where I'm talking about the things that people need to know, make sure you share that with people. God bless you. My camera's having trouble focusing. I love you all. That's why I do this. Certainly don't get paid for it. I'm glad you're here, and I hope to see you on the next one. God bless.